So I want to start by looking at the historical origin of the idea of colorblindness. Right? It goes back 1896, this case that was already mentioned, Plessy versus Ferguson. The famous dissent is written by Justice John Marshall Harlan in that case, right? And Harlan's view as the lone dissenter is that the classification itself is wrong under the law. And his famous phrase is, our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. And we've probably all heard that phrase before in one fashion or another. But let me quote you the whole paragraph where that phrase occurs, because I want to make a point about the social context of Harlan's notion of colorblindness. And if you've never heard this before, the first part of this paragraph is going to surprise, maybe even shock you. So let me start here with the first paragraph, and then you'll see the context of this colorblindness quote. So here's Justice Harlan. The white race deems itself to be the dominant race in this country, and so it is. And so it is in prestige, in achievements, in education, in wealth, and in power. So I doubt not it will continue to be for all time if it remains true to its great heritage and holds fast to the principles of constitutional liberty. But in the view of the Constitution, in the eye of the law, there is in this country no superior dominant ruling class of citizens. And here's finally where his famous phrase comes in. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. In respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law. The humblest is the peer of the most powerful. The law regards man as man and takes no account of his color when his civil rights are guaranteed by the supreme law of the land. So this is at once, powerfully eloquent, right? Under our colorblind Constitution, the humblest is the peer of the most powerful. And at the same time, deeply disturbing, right? There's obviously a deep-seated, old-fashioned racism in Harlan's comment here, right? That the white race will continue to be undoubtedly the dominant race for all time, right? And Harlan himself came from a slaveholding family and had earlier in his career, defended slavery against abolition. So maybe it's no surprise. I do want to observe that it's important to see the point about equality that Harlan is trying to make here. For Harlan, colorblindness is a rejection of legalized segregation, right? That's where he's coming from. For Harlan, colorblindness is a rejection of legalized segregation, right? It's a rejection of the Jim Crow laws, which the southern states had been using as a way to maintain white supremacy and privilege after the end of slavery. Harlan criticizes the majority, right? Harlan criticized this idea of separate but equal for ignoring the social significance of these legal segregation laws, right? He asks, and again, I'm reading from his dissent, what can more certainly arouse race hate and perpetuate a feeling of distrust between these races than state enactments which, in fact, proceed on the ground that colored citizens are so inferior and degraded that they cannot be allowed to sit in public coaches occupied by white citizens. That, as all will admit, is the real meaning of such legislation. Right? So while we may be put off by Harlan's remarks about the social fact of white dominance, right, he's really trying to be more aspirational when it comes to the law.